Welcome to the world of science fiction Neon's Alien. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a new story from Neon's Alien universe. It was a quiet day on the alien colony of Theros 9. The sky was a soft blue. Strange flying birds passed above crystal towers. Children from different planets played together in the school garden. Among them was a small human girl. Her name was Leah Hale. She had long black hair, curious eyes, and a small necklace around her neck, shaped like a red star, sharp at the edges. Leah didn't laugh much. She didn't run like the other children. She liked to sit alone, reading a holographic book about old Earth animals. No one knew who her parents were. The teachers only knew that her name was Leah and that she came with special orders. Do not remove her necklace. Do not take her off planet. Do not let her out of sight. Most ignored those warnings, until it was too late. A black ship floated above the colony that day. It had no name, no signal, only dark glass and silent engines. Inside were 4 alien pirates, tall, ugly, with gray skin, sharp teeth, and laughter that sent chills through the halls. They were not here for trade. They were here for easy cargo. Grab a child, their leader growled. Sell it to the black markets, fast credits. The pirates scanned the garden. They saw a human girl sitting alone. Quiet. Small. Easy catch, one pirate hissed. They didn't see her necklace. They didn't see the danger. The pirates used a cloaking field to jump over the garden wall. The guards didn't notice. The cameras were looped. One of them grabbed Leah from behind and covered her mouth. She didn't scream. She didn't fight. She just looked at them. Her eyes were cold. It scared one of the pirates, but he laughed it off. She's just pretending to be brave. They carried her back to the ship. As they flew away, the pirate leader looked at the girl. Say something, he barked. Leah didn't answer. He grabbed her necklace. What is this thing? Leah spoke finally, her voice soft, steady. You shouldn't have touched me. The leader laughed. Oh yeah? Why? You going to cry? Leah said nothing. But her necklace glowed red for 2 seconds. A signal was sent. Far away, on a hidden moon deep in uncharted space, a silent alarm lit up. In a small cabin, alone in the dark, a human man opened his eyes. His face was cold, his body covered in scars. Weapons hung from the walls around him, guns, blades, armor, things no one had seen in years. He stood up slowly. He walked to the center of the room. He pressed a button on the floor. A secret door opened. Inside was an old black exosuit with red markings. He stared at it for a long time. Then he spoke 2 quiet words. They took her. Back on the pirate ship, things were not going well. The youngest pirate stared at the girl from across the room. She's too calm, he whispered. This is wrong. The leader barked, Shut up, it's just a kid. The young pirate shook his head. I've seen that necklace before. On a report from the war files. That symbol, it belonged to a man called... He stopped speaking because he remembered the name, and the fear hit him like ice. The deadliest human in the galaxy. Boss, he said, we need to let her go. Now. The leader laughed. Let her go? Why? The young one whispered. Because if that's his mark, he's coming. The leader scoffed. No one scares me. But in the corner, the girl sat quietly and whispered something so soft only she could hear it. Daddy's awake now. In the dark silence of an old war moon, a man stood before, a black suit of armor. The lights were low. The weapons on the walls had dust on them. No one had touched this room in years, not until today. Not until they took his daughter. His name was Cale Hale. But most didn't call him that. They called him the Reaper, a human ghost, a legend from Earth's deadliest battles. The man who ended wars with one squad and walked out alone. No one knew where he had gone after the last war. Some said he died. Some said he was locked away. Others believed he was never real. They were wrong. He was waiting. Cale touched the red mark on his armor, the same shape that Leah wore on her necklace. It was a family code, a signal. A warning, and now it had been triggered. He picked up a long, black case and opened it. Inside, an ancient plasma blade with human engraving. You touched mine, now I touch yours. Cale said nothing, but in his eyes something lit up. The world had been silent for too long. It was time to speak again, with war. In a pirate den on the edge of the Dresny system, alien criminals laughed and drank sweet smoke. One pirate slammed his cup down and said, "Did you hear? Someone took a human kid from Theros 9, sold to the Black Fleet." Another pirate blinked. "Wait, a human girl?" "Yeah, what about it?" The second one dropped his drink. What was her name? "Leah. Just some soft earth kid." The room went silent. Slowly, the second pirate stood. "We have to leave. Now." The first pirate laughed. "What? Why?" The second pirate looked him dead in the eyes. "Because if it's his kid, we're already dead." Elsewhere, in a hidden council room, high-ranking aliens met behind closed doors. One screen showed a blurry photo, taken from a camera that lasted only 10 seconds before going dark. A human shape. Black armor, red eyes. One elder whispered, "That can't be Cale Hale. He's been gone for a decade." Another said, "That was the agreement. Earth promised to keep him buried." The third elder slammed the table. "He's not buried anymore." On a quiet moon, a merchant ship received a strange visitor. Cale stepped off his shuttle, wearing no armor yet, just a plain dark coat. He entered the bar. One old alien, once a syndicate hacker, saw him and froze. Cale sat across from him. "I don't have time for talk," he said. The alien stuttered. "What do you want?" Cale slid a picture of Leah across the table. "Find out where they took her." The hacker shook his head. "No way. If I access that data, they'll kill me." Cale leaned closer. "If you don't, I will." The alien stared at him. Something, deep inside, remembered the stories. Stories of what Cale did in silence. What he did without joy, without hate. He didn't kill for fun. He killed for balance. 2 hours later, Cale stood in his ship again, eyes on a blinking dot on the screen. One name flashed. Syndicate Transport ID. Bjorn 16. Last seen near Sector Blackfall carrying one human female child, age 8. Cale said one word. "Got you." He activated his armor. The metal wrapped around him like a second skin. Smooth. Cold. Fast. His helmet clicked into place. The red eyes glowed. The Reaper had returned. Back on the pirate ship, Leah sat alone in her small metal room. There were no windows. Only darkness. She held her necklace. Eyes calm. She wasn't afraid, because she knew something the aliens didn't. She wasn't just her father's daughter by name. She was his daughter by spirit. And now he was coming. Suddenly, the ship lights flickered. The captain shouted, "Power! Drop on deck 2. Another pirate ran in. "There's a message coming through, just one word." The captain read the message, then dropped the pad. "What is it?" someone asked. The captain whispered, "Reaper." In the outer rim of the galaxy, pirate networks buzzed with whispers. A human just wiped out a whole crew alone. He walked onto a station, left no survivors. They took his daughter, and now he's hunting. Many laughed at first, but the laughter didn't last, because the stories kept coming and the bodies kept piling up. At a fuel depot on Station Raltor, the night shift was quiet. Then a ship arrived. Black, old, with no signal. One worker stepped outside to greet it. He didn't come back. Later, a camera drone showed a single figure in black armor walking down the corridor. Calm, slow, unstoppable. The only thing left at the fuel station was a message burned into the wall. "Give her back." The station went dark the next morning. Across the sector, bounty guilds began deleting contracts related to humans. One alien leader called an emergency meeting. We've all heard the name. Cale Hale. But this isn't just about him. This is about what happens when you touch something he loves. A reptilian warlord grunted, "It's one man." The leader shook his head. "He's not just a man. He's a warning." Back on the pirate ship Vorn 16, The crew was finally realizing what they had done. The youngest pirate, Threx, stared at Leah in the holding cell. She sat calmly, playing with her red star necklace. Threx whispered, "Why aren't you afraid?" Leah looked up at him with soft, serious eyes. "I don't have to be afraid, he's coming." Threx swallowed hard. The others were still pretending everything was fine. But he knew better. He had seen Kale in action, once. Years ago, in a syndicate war on a desert world. Back then, Kale hadn't worn armor. He didn't carry a weapon. But when the fighting was over, nothing stood but him. Threx walked into the command room. "We need to let her go," he said. The captain growled, "We let her go. We get hunted anyway. We keep her, we can use her." "Use her?" Threx snapped. "As what, bait?" "Yes," the captain said. "We're sending her location to the syndicate. Let them deal with him." The others nodded, pretending to be brave. But fear was growing. The name Reaper was already circling every system. Ships were turning around, spaceports were locking down, and every fool with a weapon was whispering, "Not me. Not today." On a jungle world called Velka Prime, a retired mercenary named Gorath was drinking in a bar when he saw the alert. Reaper active, traveling toward Blackfall sector. Gorath stood slowly and dropped his drink. A younger fighter laughed. "Scared of a story?" Gorath turned to him, voice flat. "I once saw that story take down 20 syndicate elites with nothing but a knife. You think he's a ghost? Fine. Just hope he doesn't haunt you." He walked out and left the planet the same night. Meanwhile, on his ship, Kale sat quietly at the control panel. He wasn't smiling, he never smiled, but his fingers moved with precision. His eyes scanned every signal, every coded transmission. He traced the pirate ship's last jump. He read their heat trail like footprints in the dark. 5 hours behind, he whispered. "I'm closing in." He didn't need an army. He was the army. Back on Vorn 16, Threx stood outside Leah's door again. He knelt down and said, "I'm sorry." She tilted her head. "Why?" "Because I didn't stop them from taking you." She looked at him carefully. "Do you believe he'll come?" Threx nodded slowly. "Yes." She smiled. "Then maybe you don't have to be sorry yet." The ship's alarm blared suddenly. A pilot shouted from the bridge, "Something just entered our shadow trail. It's following us." The captain yelled, "Who? What ship?" The screen showed a black shape. No signal, no ID, just a slow-moving dot. Closing fast. The system beeped. "Unknown vessel approaching. Estimated contact 7 hours." The crew went silent. Then the captain finally said, what none of them wanted to hear, "It's him." In a high-security chamber floating above the desert planet Row 17, the alien leaders of the syndicate watched the screen. They saw a human girl, small, calm, sitting inside a locked room deep inside their fortress. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just stared at the wall. One of the leaders, a tall insect-like being with shining black armor, turned to the others. "This is our chance." Another replied, "You want to use the girl as bait?" "Yes. If we can draw the Reaper here, we can kill him." A third alien, a cold-skinned telepath, spoke with warning. "Many have tried. No one has succeeded." The leader waved a claw. "He's one man. We have 1,000. They didn't understand. They didn't know that the Reaper wasn't coming for revenge. He was coming for something far worse. He was coming to send a message." Meanwhile, aboard his ship, Kale Hale watched the data stream on his display. He now had full confirmation. Vorn 16 docked at Syndicate Fortress Zeta Row. Cargo, human child, female, age 8. Security level maximum. He stood, eyes cold. And then, he did something strange. He removed his outer armor and changed into something older, something ancient. It was a stealth suit from the Terran Black Division. Only 3 were ever made. 2 were destroyed in wars. 1 remained with Kyle. He didn't plan to fight through the fortress. He planned to walk into it and end it from inside. Inside the syndicate fortress, the pirates who had taken Leah were now prisoners themselves. The syndicate had no use for them anymore. They were locked in cells below. Even Threx, the young pirate who had shown her kindness, was chained. He whispered to another prisoner, "He's coming. You know that, right?" The other one laughed. "Let him come. They have cannons, drones, war mechs." Threx didn't smile. He simply said, "I hope your last words are brave." On the top floor, Leah sat in her secure room. The walls were made of neutron steel. There were no windows, no doors, only energy locks. An alien guard stood outside. Leah stared at her necklace. It blinked once. Red. Then again. She smiled. "Dad's close now." Later that night, the fortress lights flickered once, then twice, then went fully dark for 3 seconds. The guards thought it was a glitch, but it wasn't. It was a signal. Kyle had already entered the base. He moved like a shadow, through vents, maintenance shafts, blind spots in the cameras. He used no gun, only a small knife and a device that shut down tech within 10 meters. By the time the first guard noticed movement, his throat was already cut. No alarms, no shouting, just silence and bodies. A command officer ran to the control room. "Someone's inside." The syndicate leader growled, "Impossible." Another voice on the comms screamed, "He's here! He's here!" Then silence. All feeds went dead. Inside her locked room, Leah sat up. The energy walls around her flickered, then vanished. The door slid open with a soft hiss, and standing there, tall, silent, covered in smoke, was Cale Hale, her father, her reaper. He walked in and knelt before her. "You okay?" She nodded. They were too slow. He smiled slightly. "Let's go home." But Cale didn't leave right away. He had something else to do. He carried Leah through the fortress, like a father carrying a sleeping child. The guards who saw him froze. Some ran, some dropped their weapons. No one dared stop him. He entered the main syndicate chamber. The alien leaders stood ready with guards, guns, and drones. Cale placed Leah on the ground gently, then stepped forward. "She's safe now," he said. "But you're not." The syndicate leader shouted, "Kill him!" They opened fire, but the bullets hit only air. Cale had already moved. The room turned into chaos, screams, sparks, blood. Cale didn't fire a single bullet. He broke necks, cut wires, shut down machines. In 7 minutes, it was over. The chamber was silent. Only one syndicate leader remained, crawling, bleeding, afraid. Cale leaned down. "You made one mistake." The alien shook. "Well, what?" Cale pointed to Leah. "You used a child as bait." Then he stood and walked away, but not before speaking. His final words, "Let the stars know, Earth is not weak, and I am not gone." The fortress of Zeta Rho had stood for over 100 years. It had survived wars, pirate invasions, and syndicate betrayals, but it had never faced Cale Hale. Not like this. Thick black smoke curled up into the alien sky. Sirens wailed across the base, blending with shouts, blaster fire, and the sharp clang of metal doors being forced open. The night over Row 17 was no longer silent. The Reaper had come, and nothing would ever be the same again. Inside the fortress, lights blinked and systems crashed. Cale moved through the corridors like a ghost, carrying Leah in one arm, his other hand gripping a plasma detonator. His suit was scorched, but intact. His red visor glowed through the dark like fire. Guards were too afraid to chase him. Some dropped their weapons and fled. Some locked themselves in rooms. Others tried to pray, but no one dared stand in his way. In the East Wing, alien medics huddled, inside a locked room watching the security feed. They saw him walk calmly past a dozen bodies. No shouting, no mercy, only precision. One medic whispered, "Is he even human?" Another replied, "He's worse. He's a father." As Cale reached the exit gate, Threx, the young pirate who once showed Leah kindness, stood nearby in chains. Their eyes met. Kale stared. Threx held his breath. Then Kale tossed a blade at his feet. "No debt between us," he said. Threx bent to pick it up as Kale passed by. He didn't know whether to run or salute. Outside, the desert night was hot and full of flashing lights. Kale set Leah down near a hidden escape pod at the base of the outer wall. She looked up at him. "You came for me." He knelt down and smiled gently. "I told you. Always." Above them, alarm suddenly changed. Self-destruct activated. 10 minutes. The fortress had triggered its last defense. If they couldn't stop the Reaper, they would bury him with the building. Kale didn't flinch. He tapped Leah's necklace, a tracking beacon, and opened the pod. "You'll take this alone," he said. Her eyes widened. "But I want to stay with you." He looked at her with calm eyes. "If I leave now, they'll try again. I have to leave a message. One they'll never forget." Leah blinked tears but nodded. She hugged him tight. "I'm not scared," Kyle whispered. "That's because you're mine." He closed the pod door. The engines flared, and she was gone. Back inside the fortress, Kyle walked toward the core chamber. No cameras worked now, no guards left alive, only silence. And him. At the center of the fortress was the core crystal, powering the syndicate's entire northern command. Kel placed the final charge. He pressed a code into his wrist unit. A red circle lit up. Message ready for galaxy-wide relay. He looked up at the glowing crystal. "This is Kale Hale of Earth," his voice said across every syndicate comm channel. "You took my daughter. You failed to break me. But now you'll remember her name forever." He pressed the button. From orbit, satellites captured the scene. The fortress of Zeta Rho exploded upward like a volcano of fire, metal, and ash. Shockwaves shook nearby ships. Thousands of eyes across the stars watched in horror. And one word appeared on every screen. Reaper on, a trade ship far away. A group of alien warlords saw the news. One dropped his drink. Another whispered, "He's not killing us for revenge." A third nodded slowly. "He's teaching us a lesson." Back on a peaceful station near Earth, Leah stepped out of her pod. Earth officials ran to her, calling for medics, shouting her name. But she was calm. She only said one thing. "He's not coming back, but he left a mark." A few days later, on a small moon in deep space, a traveler found a strange symbol carved into stone, a human hand holding a red star. Below it, 3 words: "Don't touch mine." The traveler turned and left without a word. Because some names were never said out loud anymore, one of them was Kale Hale. The fortress of Zeta Rho was gone, burned to ash, wiped from maps. Its walls now floating metal dust in the Rho 17 desert sky. But Kale Hale was not done. He had saved his daughter. Now he was ready to erase every hand that ever reached for her. The galaxy expected him to vanish, disappear into the shadows again. They were wrong. He didn't vanish. He started sending messages. On the mining moon of Thalin V, the lights shut off for 1 hour. When they returned, the security chief, who once sold Leah's location, was missing. In his place was a red star painted in blood on the floor. In a syndicate-controlled trade station, an accountant who handled black market child sales received a package. Inside was his own ID chip, cut out and still pulsing. Attached was a message: "Children are not currency." He fled the system that night, but 2 days later his ship was found, drifting empty. At the edge of syndicate space, in a sky temple once used for smuggling, a secret meeting was held. 10 syndicate bosses, all afraid. One slammed the table. "He's hitting us one by one," another said. "He's not just killing, he's humiliating us." "He's turning us into examples," a third whispered. "He's building a story." They all agreed on one plan. Offer him peace, a deal, whatever he wants. So they sent a message across encrypted channels, carried by mercenaries, marked with flags of surrender. They wrote, "Hail, hail, we are sorry. We return all children taken from Earth. We pay tribute. We surrender 2 commanders. Please stop." They waited. 1 day passed, then 2, then 3. No answer. Until one night in a sealed bunker on Rex Prime, a syndicate server woke up to find its screens glowing red. A voice played, "You didn't listen when I warned you. You don't get to bargain. Now, this isn't revenge, this is erasure." Then the entire data center exploded. Leah, safe now on Earth, heard stories on the news. She saw stars marked red on maps, places her father had visited. No one could stop him. She missed him, but she also understood him. She whispered to the stars, "At night, they're learning now, Dad, just like you said they would." Back in deep space, Kale moved alone. No army, no council, no rules, but everything he did left a trace, a lesson. He didn't destroy planets. He didn't kill random soldiers. He chose targets that sent a message. "If you harm the innocent, I will find you." On one warship, a commander received a strange signal. He opened it and a single sentence appeared. "You were near row 17. You watched and said nothing." That's enough. That ship never made it to its next station. No one found it. Only silence. Soon, criminal networks began to collapse. Not from explosions, but from fear. Syndicate lieutenants turned on their bosses. Spies surrendered, just to avoid the Reaper's name showing up on their file. Some even destroyed their own systems just to clear their record. And the people of the galaxy? They watched in awe. For the first time in decades, the Syndicate was cracking. Not from war, but from a father's wrath. Kale Hale didn't speak on news channels. He didn't post demands. He only left behind a mark, a red star always drawn by hand, always placed where someone once said, "No one will come for them." On a cold moon near the galactic edge, Kale stood on a cliffside. He looked down at an old Syndicate facility. It was now empty. He had burned the files, freed the children, buried the guards. He didn't smile. He just turned away. Behind him, someone spoke. It was Threx, the former pirate, now wearing a clean shirt, no chains, no weapons. "I followed your trail," he said. "I left that life. I want to help." Kyle turned slowly. "You helped her once," he said. "That's why you're breathing." Threx nodded. "I know, but I don't want to just breathe. I want to fix things." Kyle looked at him for a long time, then handed him a red marker. "Then leave this," he said, pointing to the wall. Together they drew the mark. A red star, a symbol now feared across space. A symbol that meant, this place was warned. Galactic year 6049. 3 months after the fall of Zeta Rho. Syndicate systems were silent. No commands, no bribes, no whispers of rebellion. Only one name moved through the stars, Kale Hale. But no one had seen him. Not since the night he burned the last Syndicate compound on Varnus 3. He vanished. Some said he died in that final fire. Others said he returned to a hidden Earth colony, deep underground. A few believed he had never been real at all, just a ghost story made by humans, but those who met him, those who saw his eyes, heard his voice, watched their leaders fall, they knew the truth. He was not a ghost. He was a message. On Earth, in a quiet mountain village surrounded by green forests and blue skies, Leah Hale walked into a school building. She was older now, maybe 10. She wore a small red star pin on her collar, not as a warning, but as a promise. Inside, children from different species sat at small desks. Some had green skin, others had horns or glowing eyes. Leah stood at the front and looked at them. A young alien girl raised her hand. "Are you really her?" she asked softly. "The girl the Reaper came for?" Leah smiled. "Yes." The class gasped. Another boy asked, "Were you scared?" She thought for a second, then said, "Only for them, never for me." After class, Leah walked alone to a hilltop, above the school. She sat on a stone bench with names carved into it. People lost in the syndicate wars. At the bottom of the stone was a new carving. Kale Hale. He didn't destroy evil to be feared. He destroyed it so no one else had to. She placed her hand on it gently. "I know you're not gone," she whispered. "You're just letting the story speak now." Far across the stars, on a small farming moon no one ever cared about, a stranger helped an old farmer fix a broken wind engine. The man had a short beard, quiet eyes, strong hands. The farmer offered him a place to sleep. He said only 2 words, "Just passing." That night, under the moons, he drew a red star on the fence post. Then he left before sunrise. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, something new began to grow. Former syndicate planets opened up schools and shelters for orphaned children. Small ships flew banners with red stars, not out of fear, but out of respect. Criminals who once bragged about strength now stayed silent when someone said, "That's the Reaper's daughter's system." Back at Earth, Leah sat with Threx, the ex-pirate who had turned his life around. He now worked with her at a small protection agency called the Star Watch. They didn't fight wars. They gave others the power to fight for themselves. Leah told him, "Dad never wanted to be worshipped." Threx nodded. He wanted them to think twice about who they hurt. She smiled, and now they do. Later that night, Leah opened an old box her father left behind. Inside was his first knife, a small recording chip, and a folded note. She pressed play on the chip. His voice filled the room. "If you're hearing this, I've done what I had to. They thought they could touch what I loved. They were wrong. But I didn't fight them because I enjoy war. I fought them because I believed in something they forgot, that a single voice can change everything." Leah whispered. "You were that voice." She opened the folded note. Only 5 words. "Now it's your turn, Leah." Years later, legends spread of a young girl traveling system to system, offering help to the weak, protection to the lost. Some called her Reaper's Flame, some called her the Red Star, but she always corrected them. "I'm Leah. I was saved once. Now I help others save themselves." And when people asked her why she did it, she always answered, "Because one man showed me the stars again and then showed me how to protect them."